More than 10 aircraft carriers, stealth bombers, nuclear submarines, a defense budget larger than the next 10 countries combined. America possesses the most powerful military machine ever built. Yet after World War II, it failed to achieve decisive political success in Vietnam. It left Afghanistan after a 20-year war, giving power back to the Taliban. Iraq descended into chaos. Libya collapsed. And today new conflicts continue to emerge. How can a country that wins almost every battle keep struggling to win the war? This is the story of America's strategic trap. Welcome to News First. Here we break down the puzzling world of geopolitics, military, world affairs and other information which impacts you into easily consumable videos. Do like this video and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon for alerts. Now let's move forward. Since 1945, the United States has built the most powerful military force ever assembled. It fields 11 aircraft carriers, hundreds of advanced fighter aircraft, thousands of tanks, unmatched satellite networks, cyber capabilities, stealth bombers, precision-guided munitions, and a nuclear arsenal capable of destroying civilization several times. No nation in modern history has possessed comparable military reach and technology. Yet, despite this overwhelming power, America's post-World War II military record presents a paradox. Again and again, American forces have demonstrated tactical superiority on the battlefield. Yet, political victory often remained elusive. From Korea to Vietnam, Iraq to Afghanistan, military success frequently failed to translate into stable political outcomes. Why? The answer lies in what many analysts call the strategic trap. Today, the United States spends more than $800 billion annually on defense. Yes, $800 billion annually on defense. Its active duty military numbers roughly 1.3 million active personnel. It possesses thousands of aircraft, advanced missile defense, nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, global logistics capabilities unmatched by any rival. Yet many of America's opponents have been dramatically smaller. North Vietnam was a poor developing country. The Taliban fought from caves and villages. ISIS emerged from insurgent networks. Iran relies heavily on missiles, drones and proxy forces rather than conventional military capability and superiority. Instead of matching America tank for tank or ship for ship, these adversaries adopted asymmetric warfare. Their goal was not to defeat America militarily. Their goal was to make victory politically impossible, and most of them succeeded. This difference became dramatically visible during military exercises such as Millennium Challenge 2002, where unconventional tactics exposed vulnerabilities in highly sophisticated American warfighting concepts. America's rivals learned a crucial lesson. They do not need to defeat the US militarily. They only needed to outlast American political will. The first test was Korea. The Korean War began in 1950 after North Korea invaded South Korea. Initially, American-led United Nations forces pushed deep into North Korea, a communist heartland. Then, a big change happened. China entered the war. The conflict transformed into a brutal conventional struggle. More than 36,000 Americans died. Millions of Koreans were killed. After 3 years of fighting, the front lines ended almost exactly where they had begun 3 years ago. No peace treaty was signed. The war ended in a stalemate. Armistice, which means technically it's still a war. The lesson was clear. Military superiority can be constrained by political objectives. Vietnam became America's most famous failure. At its peak, over 5 lakh American troops were deployed in Vietnam. The United States dropped more bombs than were used during the entire World War II. America won most major battles in Vietnam. Yet, the North Vietnamese strategy focused on endurance. They accepted extraordinary losses while waiting for American public support to collapse. And it did. Approximately 58,000 American soldiers were killed. Millions of Vietnamese also died. In 1975, Saigon fell. The United States had won countless tactical engagements, but it lost the war politically and strategically. Next came some smaller wars. But not every American intervention failed. Panama in 1989 achieved its objectives rapidly. The Gulf War in 1991 successfully expelled Iraqi forces from Kuwait, which was the aim. Kosovo in 1999 forced Serbian withdrawal through sustained NATO air power. This was not a US only operation, it was a NATO operation, by the way. These operations shared several characteristics. The objectives were clearly defined beforehand. Military missions were limited. Exit strategies existed and were planned and executed too. Nation building requirements were minimal. These examples demonstrate that America can achieve success when political goals and military means are aligned. Yet, next came major failures. The 2003 invasion of Iraq removed Saddam Hussein within weeks. The conventional military campaign was overwhelmingly successful. Yet the collapse of Iraqi institutions created a major power vacuum. An insurgency emerged. Sectarian violence exploded. Later, ISIS rose from the chaos, that dreaded terror organization. Nearly 4,500 American military personnel died in Iraq. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqis too lost their lives. Trillions of dollars were spent in the war. America won the invasion, but stabilizing Iraq proved far more difficult than defeating Saddam's army. After that, the quagmire in Afghanistan. After the September 11 attacks, famously known as 9/11, the United States invaded Afghanistan to destroy Al-Qaeda and remove Taliban. Initial success came quickly. The Taliban regime collapsed within weeks. Then the mission expanded. Counter-terrorism evolved into nation building. State building replaced military objectives. The war lasted 20 years, the longest war that the US military has faced and fought. Nearly 2,400 American service members died. Cost exceeded $2 trillion. In 2021, the Taliban returned to power after the Americans decided to make an emergency and early exit without any coherent policy of what would happen next. The war became the clearest example of how tactical success can coexist with strategic failure, and Afghanistan was a clear demonstration of it. In Libya, NATO air power helped overthrow Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. The regime fell, but no stable post-war order emerged. Libya fragmented into rival factions and militias. In Syria, America became involved in a complete and complex proxy conflict involving Russia, Iran, Turkey, ISIS, and multiple rebel groups. No one knew which side they were fighting on. Despite military successes against ISIS, no comprehensive political statement emerged. In Venezuela, repeated efforts to pressure the Maduro government failed to produce regime change. These cases reinforced a recurring pattern. Removing a government is often easier than creating a stable replacement, and America learned it the hard way in several of its war engagements post-World War II. Then came Iran and the Middle East war. Iran represents an entirely different challenge. Unlike Iraq or Afghanistan, Iran has spent decades preparing specifically for American military superiority. Since 1979, the Iranian regime has known that the Americans could attack, and they could attack with overwhelming force, and they have prepared for it. Its strategy emphasizes missiles, drones, proxy forces, and maritime disruption. Instead of defeating American forces directly, Iran seeks to increase the cost of intervention. This approach reflects a broader trend. Modern rivals focus less on winning conventional wars and more on denying America political victory. Military historians identify several recurring problems in the American strategy. First, ambiguous objectives. Wars often begin with limited goals but expand over time. Second, mission creep. Counter-terrorism missions become nation-building projects. Third, over-reliance on technology. Precision weapons cannot solve political problems, and the Americans are yet to solve this quagmire. Fourth, misunderstanding local realities. Most decisive in a long war in a foreign nation. Military victories do not automatically create legitimate governments. Finally, democratic fatigue. America's adversaries often believe they can endure longer than American voters are willing to support prolonged wars, and this has been seen. The human toll has been immense. In Korea, millions dead. Vietnam, millions of Vietnamese dead and 58,000 Americans killed. Iraq, hundreds and thousands of deaths and thousands of American fatalities. Afghanistan, more than 2 decades of conflict at enormous financial cost. Beyond these statistics are generations shaped by war. Veterans, refugees, destroyed cities, and societies struggling to rebuild. The lesson of the past 70 years is not that America is weak. Far from it. No military on earth approaches American conventional power. The lesson is that military power alone cannot guarantee political success. Winning battles is different from winning wars. Until military objectives, political goals, and exit strategies are aligned, the world's strongest military risks remaining trapped in a cycle of costly interventions with uncertain outcomes. Some of them may even result in loss and defeat, like in Vietnam. This is the strategic trap, and it may define the future of American power in the 21st century, where new threats are emerging.